on
Yeah, I
the
can.
intro video. Hey, all right, guys. Hey, welcome to episode 34. Is that right, Eric? Did I get it right this time?
I'm
For the
pretty sure we're right.
for the Drag and Drive show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, this show tonight is going to be a good one. We're going to cover upcoming events like Death Week, the longest drag and drive in history. A brand new event that I just found yesterday, late last night in New Zealand, which is southeast of Australia, which is kind of cool. And then Southeast Street-N-Yeets. We've got KOTOR and PRI. We're going to talk about all that. And we're going to find out what Ryan Hargett and Tammy Hargett had to do to be the first ever Drag and Drive World Champions because he has signed up for Southeast Street-N-Yeet. And then to end the show, Redwood Rally hosts Jesse and Heather are going to come on and talk about the event. So, dude, let's kick them off with this intro video and then let's get into it, man.
Sounds good.
Guys, I'm here with Dave Teresi, Mr. Energy.
Oh, yeah, I'm psyched to be here. Thanks for having me. And I'm
Oh, we're looking this for 6 something. That's
Excited you're here. It's going to be a ton of fun. Great weather.
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited about this right here. Man, I'll tell you, my beard was all over the place in that world champion video there. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for putting that together. All right, guys, if you don't know, my name is Mike Narks. I am the host of Drag and Drive Show and the Drag and Drive News. I'm also a Drag and Drive statistician and promoter, even hosting my own event at the circuit, which is in April of 2024 at Mocan Dragway. Eric, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are and what's going on with your stuff, man.
I am Eric White. I am the co-host of the Drag and Drive Show and Drag and Drive News. When I'm not helping out with Drag and Drive Addiction, I am running my own channel, which is 815 LSX Swaps, which just hit 1 million total channel views. So super
On
exciting.
YouTube, on one of your social media outlets.
Right, yep, just on
Yeah.
YouTube. On
Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, they each have a video alone that has like 1.4 million, which is crazy to me.
Yep. And then do you want to tell them what else happened today?
With the rising creator for the 4th week, which is pretty
dude,
wild.
that's so awesome. I'm so excited and proud for you, man. That is awesome. You've really put in a lot of work and it's beginning to pay off, man. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, guys, I want to start the show by saying thank you to all of our race car friends. We can't do this without you. Your likes, shares, and comments help really kind of, I don't know, when it's 2 a.m. and I'm working on something, it really helps me get going because there's always somebody making some comment on there about something we've been posting. So I want to say thank you for that. I want to say also we're going to have the chat open tonight. Obviously, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff that is going to concern everybody that is a drag and drive racer. So if you got questions or comments, throw them over there in the chat. And if you're watching this later or listening to this on the podcast, find us, make comments, let us know what you think about all the stuff. And also, obviously, our list of sponsors here on the screen. It can't do it without them. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Howard's Cams, which just talked to Luke through some messenger today. He's got his little turbo small block Ford Ranger running for some drag and drive events next year. Sweet Patina, obviously, and Racing Junk Classifieds, the official drag and drive addiction buy sell trade place, I guess. So if you guys will hit that share button, we'll get this thing started. We certainly appreciate you guys hitting that share button. Let everybody know what you're watching, and we're going to get down to it. So upcoming drag and drive events. Obviously, we've got several that are coming up, but the first one, it's not really a drag and drive event. This is the grand opening of the 330-foot street legal dragway in Paris, California. I thought this was cool. I wanted to remind everybody, we talked about this a few weeks ago about this thing opening up, and there's some mixed reviews on 330-foot racing and all that kind of stuff. But listen, this is good for the sport. the way they're spinning it is this gets people off of the streets from street racing and all that kind of stuff. But what I see is this is going to allow like some politicians maybe to come down and make some passes. It's going to allow more people to come in and make passes under no stress. I mean, they're not going to be holding full WDRA races out here for 330 feet. But I'm telling you, this is a good thing for the sport. And they grand open on the 20th at 4:30 p.m. So if you're in Southern California, anywhere close to the Lake Paris Fairgrounds, make sure you get over there and take a look at that. Because and send us some video. I want to see what it's like for some drag racers that are going to be racing 330 feet. Now we've heard some stuff about like this is for street cars, so like you have to be licensed and insured and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this plays out. And then,
Yeah.
what do you think about this 330 feet? I mean, they've done a lot of parking lot racing, so
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a cool deal, especially in an area like that where, there is a lot of street racing. And if you can get people here, I mean, you've been to the no prep race, you've seen what
mm,
that's like and the people betting on the line. Imagine what this, you know, you're going to have all your little gamblers out there
yeah,
slinging dollar bills and $5 bills betting on races. But I,
yeah.
I think it'll be a cool deal, and I think there'll be more of these type of things that pop up around. Looks like Fred Ashmore says he's going to be there.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I think it's going to be a really cool setup. I see Matt Lang said should be more of this, but 660 feet. I agree with that. I think this is like a gateway drug for Southern California again to get back into some car stuff. I mean, like this allows the opportunity for people to see how much fun and how much camaraderie you can build within the drag racing community, which is what we preach all the time. And so it'll be kind of cool. I'm excited to see how their first weekend goes. Obviously, I'll be kind of watching that on Instagram. They're a really good follow. They've got a bunch of posts up already, and they had like kind of like a soft opening with some cars making passes, but no videos of that stuff yet. So again, the street's going to be the equalizer on this. We had that happen with Matt Lang and kind of the back of the track stuff was really cool to see how folks should get out and spin, and then that costs the faster car doesn't always win the race. So, all right. And then moving on to a actual drag and drive event, guys, Death Week starts on the 20th as well. This is going to be in Chandler, Arizona, which is just south of Phoenix. So Rich Guido's headed down right now. He's picked up Chris Hine. They've picked up Dan Nissen. So they're all coming down. Those guys came down to race week and just throttled the U.S. stick shift competitors. So this obviously is an event that they don't have classes. They don't have like a stick shift class, but it's going to be interesting to see what the top three in this event are going to compete with. So it's going to be pretty wild. So we got Chris Hine, we got Rich Guido, they're coming down. We talked about all that. David Williams has driven from Florida in the Turbo LS Suburban that he drove from Florida to Alaska Speed Week, which will be cool. Carl Bright is on his way in his El Camino with the big block in it. He's put new artwork on the side of the car. It looks really cool. And then our photographer friends, Chris Story and Jesse Fox, will both be on site. So if you haven't done it yet, hit those guys up, get you a photo package because it makes it so much easier to take photos while you're racing because you run out of time. Plus, their photos are going to be way better than anything you take on the phone. I know Eric will probably disagree with me there because some photo skills from the last two events I've been at, he's edited. But I'll tell you, having Chris Story and Jesse Fox there taking pictures and Sick the Mag too, but having those guys take all those pictures and provide a good edit on it will make all the difference in the world when we're looking back at that stuff in 10 or 15 years. So it does make it easier to purchase them. And those packages are pretty inexpensive, to be honest, considering you don't have to do anything. I do have some sad news. I haven't confirmed yet with a registration car count, but as of last week, they had posted that there were only 90 cars registered for Death Week, which unfortunately puts them out of the world champion points collection or eligibility. So I will tell you this: I hate that it is last minute with decisions like that, and so we're going to change that next year. We will be making Like we'll have a list of events that are eligible, no matter how many cars show up. Those events are going to be eligible because we've ran into this in the past where we thought an event was going to be on the bubble. So sad to see that happen, and but I wish everybody that's racing out there the best of luck, because I'm telling you that event is not about world champion points. That event is about the experience, and I cannot wait to hear what everybody has going on and just see the pictures throughout the weekend and all of next week, because again, 2,000 miles, 10 days, that's 200 miles a day. You got to make it. Like there's going to be one point, I think, where they're like 600 miles from the home track. So it's not going to be like a normal one where you just jump in with somebody else and they blast you back to the host track or not. So it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited to see the amount of cars that are the kind of cars that show up and complete this event. So congratulations to everybody that's going to make that, and congratulations to everybody that's already there. I know David Williams is close. So, all right.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool, and like I've said before, driving through the Vegas Strip is going to be awesome. I hope
Oh,
there's tons of cool photos there.
mm,
I don't know if it's going to be at night, but I really hope they drive through there at night because that'll
oh,
make the pictures so much better with everything lit up. So
yeah. I'm telling you, just the route they're taking is really cool through Southern California. I really like what Tom and the team have done with this event. It's really taken that next level of like very serious competition in a drag and drive event to this is probably going to be more relaxed. This is going to be a fun event, I think, for a lot of folks. So I'm excited to see what he does with this one, and then also what he does with the Route 66 deal next year. So that'll be cool. All right.
yeah, the problem is just going to be the 10 days. For a lot of people, 10 days
Yep.
of getting off is going to be tough. But if you can get it
Well,
off, it's worth it. But
yep, and especially late in the season, I think with folks knowing this style of event is gonna happen now, they're gonna plan around that. They may not do an event early in the season, saving for this kind of time off or something like that.
yeah,
Um, that is one thing I have noticed with a lot of folks now is with what happened in 2020 and early 2021, people realized like, hey, let's get out and do stuff. There's been so many years that people have spent not taking vacations and things like that, that their time has accumulated. Now they've got all these weeks of vacation and they're taking them. I mean, it's what happened to me 100%. I had 7 weeks of vacation. I took 6 for drag and drive. And then the next year I was able to leave my job. I mean, like I think we're going to see some of that as this sport begins to grow and move forward.
yeah. Last year,
So,
before going up to all the events that I went to this year, I had enough vacation that I worked 3 days the month of December,
yeah.
which is
Yep.
cool. But why am I taking all my vacation in December? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I thought of last year, and that's why this year it was go to these events
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's no reason to have a month off in December. I sat at home for a month. It was
That's right.
nice,
I
but
was gonna say you didn't sit at home. You worked on drag and drive stuff. I know
yeah,
because you were a host and all that stuff. Then the one thing that's cool is that we're already looking at 2024 events that Eric is going to be able to go to. So I'm excited about setting that schedule together. All right, let's
yeah,
let's keep going because we're going to end up with we're going to run over our time. All right, it's not a drag and drive event, but I will be at the Extreme Texas Nationals this weekend. I'll leave in the morning at about 7 a.m. Driving to Ferris, Texas for the Summit Racing Midwest Drag Race Series final, the Point Series final is going to be this weekend, and there are some seriously close races for the championship and podiums for these classes. You can see the list of classes there, but like funny car, top sportsman, pro mod, all that kind of stuff is going to be down there. One of my favorite classes, junior dragster. It's tight for the 2 classes that are there. There are some opportunities for some upsets really to come from this weekend. And I just want to say the pro mod class is separated by 5 points. So all number 2 has to do, Stephen Whiteley, all he has to do is go one more round than Keith Haney. So, and I know Keith Haney wants to win because he's the founder and dude behind the scenes of all that. So I know he wants to win his own event because everybody's competitive that are drag racers. So he wants to win that, but can Stephen Whiteley slide in there? So, all
it
right,
should be a good
I'll be
should be
down
a
there.
good time there.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a blast. And then next event up is the brand new one that I just found out about. I think literally last night at like 2 a.m. Um, the New Zealand Drag and Drive. This is again a brand new event. They started posting middle of September. Looks like it's a weekend deal, obviously, and it looks like they're going to have the same kind of format that you see with an upcoming regional event. So they're going to do November 4th and 5th, and they're basically you pay them a entry fee. I think it's like $10 or something like that, and then you pay for your way into the track. You find the folks that are running it. You turn in your time slips. They're doing 2 time slips a day, 2 on the 4th and 2 on the 5th. So it's hosted at Hampton Downs Motorsports Park in New Zealand. So that was all the information I could find. We'll have more, obviously, as we come closer to that event. But I thought that was cool to see one pop up, and probably going to be a small event to start because they're doing so late getting to it. But hey, New Zealand doesn't have very many racetracks, so hopefully they get all those cars coming in there.
So one thing that this made me think of is in 2024, is Drag and Drive Addiction going to be worldwide? Are we gonna have Mike
Oh,
at
man.
any events outside the US?
Man, I've talked a lot of trash about going to Miles and Mayhem for a long time. I think it may be time for me to do that. We'll see. I would love to do that for sure. I got to get on getting my passport updated. So,
Yeah, it would be cool to check out some of these other events
oh
for sure.
man, I'm telling you that, and Street Week Sweden would be really cool, and then obviously the Drag Challenge in Australia. I think that's what my heart is pulling me to. But man, I don't know at if I can make that one work for 2024.
Maybe we're looking at 2025 and beyond.
Maybe. Yep. But who knows, man? We've grown a lot in the last 18 months, 19 months now, and so we'll see what happens. All right. Next up, we'll talk about Brandon's question here in a minute on the PRI deal. Next up is Southeast Street-N-Yeet, and obviously I'm putting my notes together for that. It is in 22 days. And what you're seeing on the screen right now for everybody that's watching this is, what is your strategy? That's the question I'm going to pose. I've already got this post scheduled for later tonight too. So you're going to actually race at 2 separate tracks on the same day, which I think is a first. I think they've done it in the past, but I wasn't paying attention enough to it then. But this is really, really cool. I like this thought. I want to know what the racer idea is. What's your plan? Are you going to, well, are you going to get one and done at the first one and then run up to the second one to get your, make multiple passes to get your number? Or are you going to literally have, there's only 6 hours of the track being hot for the first and then the second one. So it's like 60 miles between each track. So it's not going to be hard, but like this is a real strategy here, I think, for this. And it's going to be fun to watch it play out because obviously I'm going to be there. So Thursday they'll do tech and day 1 of racing at Shadyside Dragway, Shelby, North Carolina. Friday morning, we're going to drive over to South Carolina Motorplex with the track hot from 9 to 3. You guys can see there. Then it's like, I don't know what route they'll have planned, but by Google Maps, it's only like 60 miles or something like that between tracks. And then Friday afternoon, we'll be back at House of Hook, which will be my second time there this year, Carolina Dragway from 3 to 9. So, are you going to get up early? I don't know. The whole Friday really intrigues me a lot. And then Saturday, it's down to Darlington, back to Darlington. That's where we started and ended for Drag Week. So we'll be back there. So that'll be cool. And then Sunday is back to Shadyside for racing and awards. And did you see their post today? The awards are in the huge chains. I saw Anthony Harville a couple times this year. He's walking around with that big chain. So
it's probably my favorite trophy award from
yeah.
any one of the Drag and Drive events. That's definitely cool.
Yep. I'm excited about that. This is the last event of 2023 to gather Drag and Drive World Champion points. So I confirmed with them that they do have the needed registration count. Y'all, this is going to be pretty awesome. This is we're going to talk about the points in a minute to see what Ryan Hargett needs to do to win the championship. Now, I've talked to another few racers that are in, again, like we talked last week, in that 70s points range and what they need to do for this, but we didn't have confirmation that these guys had signed up, but we do have confirmation now from Ryan Hargett himself making a post on Facebook that he's going. So that'll be pretty exciting. I'm wondering if that's going to run some guys off, or if it's going to maybe keep them thinking, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So if anybody knows any background knowledge about racers in the 70-ish points, bracket there that have accumulated those points at 2 events, let me know. I would like to look at their numbers. And if you have any questions about where you personally stand, you can DM me and I'll let you know. Find me at Michael Narks on Facebook or Dragon Drive on anything else, messages there. So that'll be cool. What do you think about racing twice in a single day? Is that pretty wild to you?
I think it's kind of cool. I know, if I remember right, they did that last year because of weather. They ended up
Yep.
changing their schedule, and it sounded like people really liked it. So I
Yeah.
definitely think it's cool. The only issue is if you have car trouble, you're kind of in that time crunch to get to the next track.
Yeah.
But
Yep, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think this is going to be really cool. We're going to follow a couple different racers throughout the weekend or throughout the week, and see what their strategy is and how it plays out. Because again, if you break at 2 o'clock at the first track, you're going to be in real trouble. So do you get your easy number there and then run? All right. Next up, King of the Open Road. This event is the last drag and drive event of the season total. This is a regional event right here, 200 miles worth of driving. Guys, I've been to several King of the Open Road events. If you are anywhere close to the Texas Motorplex or want to drive down for an absolute blast, this is an event to do it. This is going to be fun. They're rolling out roll racing, which is going to be kind of cool. So they're going to do that. Friday is the drive, so you can come back Friday night, kind of relax, hang out, parking lot beers and trailer burnouts. Saturday is all day of qualifying for the 14 classes of drag racing, and then qualifying and eliminations for the roll racing. So I think they've got a few different roll race classes. To be honest, I didn't even look at those because I'm not a huge roll race guy. But congratulations and good luck to all the folks that roll race. Sunday is the final round of qualifying and then eliminations for the drag race setup. I'm telling you, this is going to be a good time. If you don't follow Jared Holt on social media, you need to. This event's going to be crazy. You can see, what's her name? Four-Door Rocket on Instagram, Felicia Smith. She just came off of race week, so I know they've been at home thrashing on that car to get it ready. And then the Viper, I don't remember who it is, but I know it's a stick shift and Violent from the May event. That car was absolutely crazy. And I know there's going to be a lot of new type stuff that's down there, a lot of new cars that have never competed, because for some reason Jared can bring out all of the cool imports that we don't typically see at a normal drag and drive. So it ought to be a lot of fun for folks that are watching down there. And then the last event of the season for us, and then maybe a little bit of a break, maybe
not much, but a little bit.
not much, is the Drag and Drive Awards presented by Drag and Drive Addiction and Summit Racing. Y'all, 50 days from right now, man. There is so much going on in the background. You have no idea what is working here. It's pretty crazy. The Drag and Drive Award show is Thursday, December 7th at 11 a.m. Yep, we're doing it the first day. I have had several people ask why we're doing it the first day. And to be honest, it's so that racer that wins it can go around and brag the rest of the weekend that they were the first ever drag and drive world champion. Plus, it gives them maybe an opportunity to talk to some sponsors. So the sponsors that are a part of everything down below, if they have a booth, we're going to obviously parade you around and put you on our shoulders and tell everybody what a great job you did and all that kind of stuff. But we're also going to introduce you to a lot of these companies. So that's another reason we did it on Thursday. It'll be easier. There'll be a lot more decision makers that are there. So we're hoping that this can kind of help also step in the right direction for the racer as well. So, we talked about what does Ryan Hargett need to do and any other racer that shows up to Street-N-Yeet. But here's the thing. You're not going to know as a viewer of this who won it. Who is your points leader? We're going to go silent on it after that. We're going to hint at it and things like that, but we're not going to tell you who has won it until the Drag and Drive Awards, again, at 11 a.m. We're going to live stream those, even if it's just from my phone, walking around in selfie mode. I don't care. But we're not only doing the awards for the Drag and Drive World Champion, but we're also doing, top 3 of the top 100 racer list. Top racer from the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 second racer list, the Sweet Patina Roughest Roadside Repair Trophy, and a bunch more. We've been talking to Revved Up Laser Works, Travis Wise, about all of the trophies. And I'm telling you right now, there's more than 24 of them that we're going to give out in an hour. So we're going to be cranking these dudes out. So if you're not following us on social media, you need to right now. So we're going to have all those. He's starting to print those next week, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Ugh,
excited.
man,
They look
excited
good.
is the word. Yes, I'm so ready for that. And then so that's the event. That's the coverage of events we're going to have for the remainder of 2024. And let's talk about Brandon here, who asked who's buying the first round at PRI. We'll be arriving Wednesday night, and I would expect there to be beers had for sure. So
Yep. Yep.
I'll buy Brandon's first round if he'll buy the second. So
Sounds like a plan to me.
yeah, dude. All right. Do you want to drive on the drag challenge stuff, or you want me to drive the pictures?
I can do it.
All right. Have at it, sir. I'll get you started there. Sorry. All right. Lead away, man.
All right, so we're going to do some coverage from the drag challenge that just wrapped up last week. So these pictures were from the Street Machine magazine website where we got all the information. So our outlaw aspirated winner, let me get on the right screen here so I can change pictures, was Daniel Case with the Holden Tirana, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So that's this beautiful purple machine right here. Got a couple photos of that. This is why I want to go to some of these events because the
Yep.
cars are definitely cool out there.
Yep.
So that's our Outlaw aspirated winner. Our next class is the Turbo Smart Outlaw Blown. And that was Mark Whitla in the Ford Capri.
Hang on. I think you're one too far.
Am I?
I think the Capri is that one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the Turbo Smart Outlaw Blown winner, Mark Whitla, in the Ford Capri. Yeah, and then the Haltech Radio Blown is Mark Drew, which is this one, and the Holden Tirana again. He reset the overall record twice in this event. So
Nice.
the first one was a 7:19 at 197, and then a 7:07 at 196.
That's awesome.
So definitely pretty cool. The next one here is the Pacemaker Radial Aspirated, which was Alan Vila in a Ford Capri. He has won the class at all but one drag challenge and drag challenge weekend events.
Wow.
So how cool is that?
That's pretty awesome. That's a huge snorkel on that car.
Yeah, it is. Our next,
I take it from this of aspirated means naturally aspirated, and then blown is obviously some kind of power rider.
yep. So the next one is Tough Mounts 235 blown. So that was Tom Wright and a Holden HG Premier.
In a four-door car, bro. That's
Four-door.
two four-doors at least that have won class this year.
Yeah. So the Holdens seem to be pretty popular over there.
Yeah, I think that's their Chevrolet stuff. So
Yeah. Next is Carnage 235 aspirated. So that was Louis Jonas in a Holden Tirana. He won by 14 hundredths.
dang.
So it was a very close race there, and has also ran the fastest time in Drag Challenge 235 Aspo history.
Wow, that's cool.
So definitely some cool records going on during this event. The next one was kind of a cool one, the Speed Pro 6-cylinder class.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Emmanuel Debencat in a Ford XW.
Nice.
So that looks like a pretty unique car there.
Right, a lot of four-door stuff.
There is, yep. I did notice that as we were going through the pictures for sure.
Like a lot of four-door rear-wheel drive stuff.
Yeah.
Can we get some of that, please? Please.
Right. And I was reading through there, and it looked like it was a close race. And I forget the other driver, but somebody else had to turn in a 20-second time slip, I believe, which ended up pushing them into the win.
Wow.
So the next one is Pro Street Radial 8.5 Radial, and that was Clinton Kelly and a Holden HT, which again looks like a four-door car.
Man, that's awesome.
I mean, I definitely could get down with a four-door rear-wheel drive drag and drive car.
Oh yeah, you and all your buddies climbing in, hanging out.
Yep. So next is the Carnage 9.5 radio class. So this one is Dylan Kane, again, four-door car.
Yeah.
This is a Holden GQ. So this was a 950 class. So his passes were 9502, 9502, 9507, and then the last day a 9545.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a street race small block power rider kind of
Yep.
consistency.
Yep, for sure. Kind of like our 850
Yeah.
index. And then the last one is the Heron Forbes Dial Your Own. So kind of like our Dial Your Own. And this is Alicia Teal. And she won with a split of 0.008 seconds across 4 days of racing.
Yeah, she's pretty consistent. And I messaged her earlier asking how many times I've seen her name in there a lot in the historical stuff that I've looked at for Drag Challenge. So I don't know if maybe this is her second or third time to win that class. I know it's at least her second or third time to compete in that event. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounded, when I was reading the article, it sounded like she's a regular at the event. So,
Yep.
and again, that's a Holden HQ. Again, looks like another four-door
Man.
car. So
Okay,
definitely cool.
maybe I put that one on my list. Maybe I do Miles of Mayhem and that one.
I agree. I think it'd be cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely want to go for a ride in one of them too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll fly in, so I'll just rides all week.
There we go.
All right. Well, let's jump in here and let's talk about, can Ryan Hargett and Tammy Hargett win it all? Can they be the first ever drag? Oh, I see Ryan in here talking too. So I'm going to give you guys the roadmap to how Ryan wins and becomes the first ever Drag and Drive World Champion presented by Summit Racing. But first, let's recap what all they get. Are you ready for this?
Yes,
They
sir.
get $500 Summit Racing gift card. They get a free pair of tires plus 2 buy one get one cards from Mickey Thompson Tires. They get custom embroidered world champion jackets for driver and co-pilot. They get a handmade trophy by Cold Hard Art. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you need to right now. It's amazing. They get a one-off world champion decal for the car. So they'll always be immortalized in that. We're actually going to give them a few of those, maybe for the fridge. And if Ryan and Tammy win it, they'll get it for the shop. I'm sure they'll put that up. And then they're going to get a Drag and Drive Addiction swag pack, of course, hats, hoodies, license plate, decals for the car and trailer. We're going to sticker them up for sure. And then they get free entry into these 2024 events: Southeast Street-N-Yeet, Rocky Mountain Race Week, and Hot Rod Drag Week. So it's 4 free events that they will be able to, compete again, try and repeat for their world champion. And then also they get guaranteed entry into Sick Week and Sick Summer. And we know both of those events sell out. Obviously, we appreciate Tom guaranteeing us a spot because we won't know who the world champion is until after the registration, of course, for Sick Week and maybe for Sick Summer by then. So that's pretty awesome. They get Precise Built Tools is sending us a torque wrench and case to throw in the car for the week. So that's pretty cool. And obviously I'm working on a ton of other stuff too. Just can't talk about it yet. Plus they win the bragging rights of being the first ever Drag and Drive World Champion. I mean, like
I'm pretty jealous.
You're
of
the
all that
first.
stuff.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. We need to get your Mustang going and I'll co-pilot for you. I'll co-pilot and media while you race it. All right. Currently, you can see behind me, Corey Thompson holds the current points lead at 110 points. So let's talk about how Ryan and Tammy can win this championship, right? Ryan here in the comments says he's working on the car right now. So they're going to have their hands full for sure. They've got 72 points currently. So you have to think they have to make up 38 points to get there. They will need to complete the event, which obviously everybody always figures they're going to complete the event. But this is the first time that they have attempted 3 national level drag and drive events in a single year. Okay. That'll net them 26 points if they finish, giving them 98 points. Then they need to win their class to get 7 more points. I hadn't heard which class they're racing yet, but the unlimited class has seen high 4-second finishes, is what I'm saying. So again, I don't know what I know he can't run in limited street class because he's on methanol, so that puts him out from that. So I'm basing a lot of my stuff on unlimited because unlimited is open. So the unlimited cars have finished in the high 4-second range. They'll need to finish with a 4-second average because they need to grab those 4 points. And then they're going to need to reset the Class ET average record, which for unlimited, like we said, is a 4.924 put down by Sean Lewis last fall. Now, we don't know if Sean's coming back, but I know he has more power and things like that. So that would net them 110 points total. Okay. Obviously, if you're doing the math, that ties them with Corey Thompson. But as per the rules, if you are a faster car, the tiebreaker goes to you. And being that they have 2 low to mid 7-second averages at Midwest Drags and Hot Rod Drag Week, they would take the win. Now, Corey has won every class that he's been a part of and reset all the records. So if he comes down to the end and someone takes it, he has to know that he has done all he can. He ran his car all out with a high 7-second average at 6th Summer, then went and destroyed the race week hot rod class record, both ET and mile an hour, and did the same thing, resetting his own ET and mile an hour record at Rocky Mountain Race Week. So pretty amazing stuff. I mean, I was really hoping it would come down to the last event. I was hoping we'd have an opportunity for racers to do this. Again, this is our first year to do this. We are figuring stuff out as we go. What racers want to see. So again, as a reminder, you're not going to know at the end of Southeast Street-N-Yeet. You're going to have to find out with everybody else at PRI for the Drag and Drive Racer Awards presented by Summit Racing. So I'm so excited about this. I'm sure we'll be dropping hints and things like that because I won't be able to keep it to myself for that long. But it's only 3 weeks after that, so it should be pretty easy to do that. So I want to wish the Hargetts so much luck on coming. I know they are signed up, and he said he's set up for 2 different classes, so that would be really cool. Maybe that helps with some strategy around in there. And they're one of the cars we will be following during Southeast Street-N-Yeet to see what they have going on. So I know he can run 4s. He ran 4s most of the week at Hot Rod Drag Week and Midwest Drags in the 8th. So that'll be pretty cool. And here's what I find typically happens is racers start doing the math, and we're still 3 weeks from Southeast Street-N-Yeet. So there are racers that could maybe put their car back together that haven't done it yet that are doing the math on that side as well. So nobody's telling me anything, which is sad. But I'm also not going to nudge them. So Ryan said he's been 468. So you know how it goes. Like it really is and that's him planning to run quarter mile. Like what's he going to do to run 8th mile? I don't know who this is. So Facebook user is in the Drag and Drive Addiction or Drag and Drive Addict Facebook group. So if you'll scroll down to the bottom of the description on the live stream there and give StreamYard permission to use your name, please come back in and say that you're signed up here. I know there are a few other racers that are thinking about it, but I told them I wouldn't put their names out there, but I'm excited to see what can happen. If you go back a couple weeks, you can see, you'll hear names and what it is. So
it's all different strategies. Some people want to keep it quiet and try to, sneak in there, and some people are putting it out there that they're running for it. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really ready to see what this does to that's Goldstone commenting. Oh, this could get exciting. This could get really exciting because now what does that do to Ryan's stuff? What's that do to his thought process? Which class?
There's one more.
It's not that I won't tell you. It's that it's a really difficult decision. Lot on the line either way. It's Jason Hurley. I got you, dude. We've had the conversation with him or about him, not with him, about him and how he can win this and take over. So, you know, he would almost have to do the same thing that Ryan did to be in the same position, and he actually has faster averages than Ryan. So if Jason showed up and Ryan showed up and Ryan ran the best he could and Jason still went, you know, does all what I just said, I guess it probably would, you know, unless Ryan's in a different class, it would come down to who's the faster car. And at that point, Jason's the faster car. Man, this
Yeah.
could be really exciting. This
See
could
how
be really
quickly that
exciting.
just changed?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the way it is. Hey, somebody go over there and twist Jason Hurley's arm. It would be great to see him one more time throughout the year because I only got to see him twice this year. You know.
So how much was that ticket you told me from Chicago?
Hey, listen. Hey, if you guys want to see Eric come down, really needle him about it this week. Really put some pressure on him. Tickets are $120 to get him from Chicago to Charlotte, and I'll pick him up in Charlotte. And we can run for the weekend. So, if you want to see him come down, definitely let us know. And then I see a Facebook user here says, "Now you're just taunting me." So I'm in. Listen, we want the best competition we can possibly get. All right, let's move on. Let's get back to it because we got folks coming on here in a few minutes from the Redwood Rally, so I don't want to be late for them. So next up is items I found on Summit Racing, guys. You know, Summit Racing is a huge supporter of not just us, but the entire sport. So typically I'm on Summit Racing almost daily looking through stuff for not only Narcoleptic Customs, my brother's shop, and Dragon Drive Addiction and my own projects. I'm on there trying to find some stuff for you guys. I thought this was a really good deal on a battery tender. It had the best reviews and the best score with like 4.9 rating, which is amazing. And I like that it's 1.25 amps compared to some of the others, which are like 0.75 or 0.8 amps, because I know a lot of you guys out there wire like you are blind. So what happens is you end up with a draw, and this would kind of help compensate for a little bit of that. So the 1.25 is kind of a neat deal. Again, summitracing.com. And then I thought, how much fun is this? These are in stock, ready to go. Throw this in your cart when you're on their neck. Surprise your spouse with a fun yard art light display. They've got a bunch of them. They got Snoopy, they've got Frankenstein here. They've got a lot of stuff, but they're like 30% off, $45. I thought that would be kind of fun to throw out. And you know, Summit, they have the 4 warehouses across the country. You could have this in a day or two. So you still have it in time for some Halloween decorations for when the kids are out trick or treating. And then, of course, last thing I found on Summit was I need a new hat. You can see my sweat circle here. I'm gonna wash this thing tonight and try and get it cleaned back up before I get down there. I hope I don't lose the Clay Milliken signature on it. But guys, hoodies, hats, shirts. They had 2 different style shirts. I'm wearing the Tommy Dupree Brian Havlick shirt tonight, and that was actually designed and printed by Summit. So you know they're huge supporters of us. So if you have a moment, please jump over to summitracing.com and pick out some stuff. One other item I don't have on here is the TKO hand cleaning wipes. Those make amazing gifts for any person that does anything that's going to get their hands dirty. So it's a waterless wipe made by Sweet Patina. You can pick them up right on Summit Racing. All right. Oh, hey, actually, I made these
Perfect lead
notes and
in.
didn't even realize it. So on sweetpatina.com, you can also use code DND57 for a 10% discount. So if you don't want to do it on summitracing.com, you can do sweetpatina.com, and you can see they have all kinds of garage banners. They've got stickers. The artwork on their stuff is awesome. The Go Fast Parts Before Paint is certainly one of the best shirts I think they make. And then the Speed Mini here says, those wipes are amazing and a staple at home and shop. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. So, guys, we can't thank our sponsors enough for coming on and supporting us. Sweet Patina was the first brand to step on board with us last year and allow us to do the Built for Drag and Drive segment in the news. Almost every week. We've not done it in about 3 weeks now, and it's time to get back on it. I'm excited. We'll have to do it next week though, because I don't have it ready for this week, and I'll be driving all day tomorrow. So, anyways, guys, code DND57 for your sweetpatina.com order. All right.
You want me to hit this Molly ad now so we can thank another one of our sponsors?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Thanks to Molly, and we're going to play their ad.
Molly Motorsports is the official piston of DragonDrive.com. Molly's Power Pack piston is the perfect candidate for your drag and drive car. Molly Motorsports competes in drag and drive events and supports our community. Project manager Eric Grillo raced a 10-second stick shift Nova at Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. He's also competed in Rocky Mountain Race Week last year with his C10 truck. Visit mollymotorsports.com for the most recent line of products.
Hey, I just realized something. I'm going to have to message. So I have my times backwards. I was thinking 8 p.m. Eastern, but I told them 6:45 Pacific because they're on the West Coast. So
Which
that
is
means they're not going to jump on till 8:45.
oh yeah.
Our time. So let
Yeah.
me message them. If you want to take over the racing junk classifieds, I'm going to send a message to them. I'll be right back.
Yep, I'm going to run that right now. So next is we're going to jump into our Found on Racing Junk for the week. So we have, let me get this pulled up here. We have a couple vehicles again this week, like we normally do. And the first one here is a 1986 Buick Regal 6.2 Hemi with a 4L80E. So this car was on Hot Rod Drag Week 2022 in Byron, and I went and snagged a picture of it. You can see there on the track here at Byron. So when I was there last year, I got to check out that car in person. So 30,000. This is in Minnesota. 86 Buick Regal, built in partnership with Motor Trend as Hot Rod Drag Week car. Full QA1, level 3 coil-over suspension, including 4-way adjustable, QA shocks, control arms, trailing arms. You can see a bunch of stuff down here. 4L80E, it's 6.4 Hemi heads, Edelbrock supercharger, fast ECU, tons and tons of high quality parts on here. Has ran a 1032 at 135, 990 potential based on mile per hour. So definitely a cool car here. Again, like I mentioned, I seen this in person at Hot Rod Drag Week last year in Byron. Definitely a nice car. Definitely not what you were expecting when you see it pull up to the track. It was a G-body with a Hemi in it. So really, really cool car. I'll scroll through some of these pictures here. You can see all those QA1 parts on there. Tons of suspension parts. I feel like this would be a fun drag and drive car, but just also a fun cruise car to be able to just hop in and go drive around, all that nice suspension work.
Yeah, that car stuck out to me. Even when, we were talking about it before the show tonight, it was like how nice this car was and how cool it was to see, QA1 lettering all over it and all the kind of stuff that goes along with it. And being a Gen 3 Hemi was pretty neat.
Yeah, I bet this would be a fun car to even do some autocross with too.
Yeah.
So that's our first car for Found on Racing Junk. Our second one is a 1984 Mustang Street Strip car, which funny thing is I had this on my list from a different week. Same car that you grabbed this week. I've seen this one before.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. Stick shift, just a clean early Fox body Mustang 4i.
Yep. And it's in Illinois, so you nailed that one again too.
Yeah.
We're always finding cars that are too close to me.
Yeah. Right. This one's small block Ford, so it doesn't really fit your style.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But it is stick shift, which is right up your alley.
I do like that. That would be fun. I've said before that if I was going to build another car, I'd build a stick shift car, but the 240 stick shift will definitely do me for a while. So again, another sweet car. We'll scroll down here. True 46,000 mile car. Entire description of work done is in the photos. 6,000 miles on the build, as well as over 50,000 invested. Paint showroom quality. Interior is super clean. Car is ready for the road or the track. It doesn't need a thing. Tires are almost brand new, as well as the battery. Car does not skip a beat. The underneath is as clean as the rest Rest of the car, absolutely no rust.
That's
So,
awesome.
couple really cool finds this week. Couple really nice cars. Lots of work done to them.
Yeah, and again, cars that you could literally just go take on a drag and drive.
Yeah,
There's not build or any. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff to get them ready to go. This one needs exhaust, but that's pretty easy.
yeah,
I say it does. I mean, for some folks it doesn't. I've driven next to some cars that I don't know. It can't
yep.
be loud. It can't be the muffler. It doesn't have one. Yeah.
So, yep, those are our 2 vehicles for this week's Found on Racing Junk.
That's awesome. Well, obviously, I hate that I screwed up the situation with Redwood Rally because that's twice now I've missed my timing on that. I was an hour ahead. I was thinking the 8 p.m. Eastern, and then backed up 2 hours. But it was 7 Eastern, and should have backed up 2 hours. So, anyways, apologize about that to them. We'll stay here for a minute. I do want to talk about Midwest Drag Race Series because I had those notes on here to talk about if we had the time after they were on here. So one thing I do want to say again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to the race car friends. Thank you to our sponsors, everybody that has been with us on this, y'all. This has been a crazy year for sure. All right, so let's talk about the Midwest Drag Race Series. I'm going to pull up the artwork from earlier so people can see some other stuff on it. Again, this is an opportunity that was afforded to me by Daniel Green. Danny Diesel is what everybody kind of knows him as. This is a neat deal. Last time I was able to get on the microphone to help announce for the National or Nostalgia Drag Racing League, and then also during pro mods and stuff with Luke. So I'm hoping that I think Luke is going to be there as well. So that'll be kind of fun to maybe get that opportunity again. I'm not saying I will be, but you can actually watch this on Flow Racing for the live stream. And then they'll have a lot of stuff that'll post to YouTube and Facebook and Instagram during the weekend. But we'll talk about some of the races that are close. Pro Mod again separated by 5 points between Keith Haney and Steve Whiteley. It's a big deal. They've attended every race all year, so it's not like somebody missed a race and they got an easy win. But like Keith Haney's currently in the lead, and if Stephen Whiteley goes one round more than him, so each round win to them is worth like 20 points. So it could be really cool if we come down to the finals and that. And that's what my plan is, to do research as I drive tomorrow, see how many times that's happened and all that kind of stuff, and provide those notes for Luke, the announcer, or myself if I get that chance. So, and then Top Sportsman has a close race for second. I don't think they can catch the first place racer. Mike Chitty is in second with 402 points, and then Doug Woody's right behind him at 391 points. Again, one more round being worth 20 points just completely catapults them in front. So that's again a race for second. And then Top Dragster has a close race for third, separated by Doug Henry and Anita Strasberg, who I think Anita has been to every event, and she's typically one of the fastest racers that's out there. They're separated by 24 points. Again, I like the point series on this, 20 points for a round win, but you also get points for qualifying, like where you qualify in the stack of 16 racers and all that kind of stuff. So this has really been a blessing for me because it's going to allow us to look at some things for the 2024 World Champion points a little differently as well. Pro Junior Dragster, again, like I said earlier, one of my favorite classes. They've got a close race for close race for second, 3-racer competition in there for second place. So currently holding second is Brody Zimmerman, 385 points. Third is Carly Brundridge at 350 points, and then Jonathan McLean at 345 points. So, if Brody Zimmerman makes it further than everybody, he's obviously got second place locked in, but this could really be a race for the podium in third place. So pretty cool. Again, we've seen junior dragsters come up from the ranks from start racing at a young age and then end up in the pro league. So I love watching the junior dragster stuff. They're just so loud. And then Sportsman Junior Dragster is a race for 1 and 2, and it's separated by 15 points. So less than a round win separates 1 and 2 for the championship between Camden Teal, who's currently first, and then Jovi Brundage is 15 points behind the leader there. So that's pretty cool. Pro 420, which is a new class for 2023. It's only separated by 7 points between Dave Pierce, one of our longtime drag and drive racers. David and Tina Pierce, you guys know them. You've heard that name a bunch. Street Outlaws. They've done so many drag and drive events, and she's currently the second fastest female in drag and drive for 2023, right behind Alex Taylor. And then, so this Pro 420 class separated 7 points from first and second between David Pierce and the D-Bar-D racing team. I can't remember who races their Pro 420 class, but Ed Thornton races the Pro Mod class for D-Bar-D. So it'd be pretty cool to watch all of that go down. And again, this is all new experience for me. You know, I've never really spent a whole lot of time at any regular drag races. I've done all drag and drive since 2020. And so it's pretty cool to go actually, like, you know, these folks don't have to pack up a trailer and hook it to their car and drive to the next track, you know, for the next day. So they go back and, you know, there was one racer at the St. Louis event that I went to in September that, I mean, they ended up changing 2 motors and we're going to change a third and then called it at the last minute. So, you know, these guys haul around in big toter homes and trailers and are full on professional drag racers. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, it should be a lot of fun. And speaking of getting on the mic, I know we got to do a little bit of that during the Summit Racing Midwest Drags, and that
Yep.
was a lot of fun. So I'm excited for you to be able to jump on and do some more of that. I know I had fun doing it, and I know you enjoyed it as well.
Oh yeah, and then this stuff here is only fueled that even more. So now when I've this last week I've been watching the Drag Week playback for the live stream and, you know, trying to pick up clues and other, you know, things that Freiberger and them would say to only help our, you know, talk about drag and drive racing and all the stuff that comes from that, trying to pick up extra stuff that maybe I didn't catch in the stats. So yeah, you know, anytime I can learn and we can further ourselves and just get more of, you know, Michael Narks and Eric White out there helps us also then in turn talk about drag and drive and all the other classes that are going to be down there. I mean, there's not just this race going on. There's other classes that'll be there as well. So it's going to be cool. It's a full on weekend. Again, I want to thank Daniel Green, Danny Diesel, and the entire Midwest Drag Race Series team for the opportunity to help. You know, a lot of times my day is spent on the switcher, moving between live cameras and then making notes and running people get food and set up and tear down and all that kind of stuff. So it starts about 8 a.m. in the mornings and runs till about midnight every night. So
And maybe you can kind of nudge them a little bit and do kind of like what NHRA has been doing and do some drag and drive exhibitions during some of these events as well.
hey, don't you think I hadn't already thought about some of that? So it's pretty fun. The Nostalgia Drag Racing League, that was pretty cool to be around because some of those cars had license plates on them, you know, and so that was kind of fun. But yeah, I think that may be a good opportunity as a lead in for 2024 because they just released their 2024 schedule and it doesn't look like a lot of the events conflict with some of the drag and drive events I have planned. So
Yeah, so that'd be kind of cool to maybe be able to get some cars and make some, again, exhibition passes if people are near those racetracks for sure.
right.
And then one more thing, going back to PRI, I know I've shown this before, but we've got these special edition stickers that we're going to have with us. Again, we've got 300 of them, so we will have 100 for each day for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to hand out. So the first 100 people to come by our booth will be getting one of these stickers. And then we've been talking a little bit about it. I think we're going to possibly have a new product there that we're going to be able to show off. I don't know if we'll have them ready to be sold yet, but we will definitely have some trial pieces that we'll be able to show off. So I'm excited for that as well.
Sorry, I'm messaging Jesse Adams directly.
Oh.
See if I can snag them real quick. Yeah, I'm excited, dude. You've been doing a ton of work behind the scenes, helping, you know, expand our merch lineup and all that. So, you know, again, right now we're offering all the stuff on summitracing.com with like all the stuff I'm wearing tonight. But we still do have the OG Drag and Drive hats, and then of course the Drag and Drive shirts and stuff you can buy through us, and I'll have some this weekend down there in the car with me. But decals you can only get from us. So if you want a 12 or 24 inch, you can message me or Eric, and we can get that over to you.
Yep, and then also don't forget the license plates. We got those as well.
Yep. Yep. I got those. I got a whole stack of those in the car. I say a whole stack. I've got several. I don't know how many of those, but a few. I don't know how to say that. So
They look great on the car, and they
yeah.
look great. I've got one hanging up on the wall here in my office, so they look great in the office, in the trailer, on the car, any one of those places. They're definitely a cool plate. And look who we got in here. We got Destroyer
Yeah.
1320. How you doing, buddy?
That's exciting, man. If you guys don't follow him, you need to. He's going to SEMA, dude. How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Right. Okay, so back up. The first two people I met when I started YouTube was you and Destroyer. And
Yeah.
Destroyer's at SEMA and we are at PRI this year. So I would say
I
we
I
are all doing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
exciting.
it's pretty amazing the amount of hours we've all put into growth on social media and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty amazing. He was a pivotal part of the growth of this right here. I mean, he helped a lot with narcoleptic and getting to where it was or is. And then obviously I've taken a lot of that knowledge and moved it over here. So yes, he's grinding to get ready for SEMA. Dude, I can't wait. I'm so excited for him. That's in just a couple weeks.
Yep.
Well, probably 13 days or something like that. I would think we're start at the end of the month there. So
Yep.
it's going to be really cool.
Andy's our voice for our Molly ad read. So
Yeah,
even when he's not here, he's here with us.
that's exactly right.
He's gonna
That's
shake babies and kiss hands.
yeah, all week. He'll be so tired of talking to people. It'll be so good. I'm really excited for him to be able to do that. And what's funny is that whole thing started just as a way for him to help Mopar racers. If you guys don't know, what he offers is a cover plate that would cover your neutral safety puller. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah.
Neutral safety release, I
Strap.
guess.
Yeah.
Yep. And so in Dodges, that's a strap just inside the center console. And so his product covers that and prevents it from being as easy to get to. You have to essentially pull the entire center console apart. Now, I'm not saying it's can't be stolen as well, but this would definitely help take it out of the hands of some folks that just really they can't help themselves. They can't
Yeah,
help
definitely.
themselves.
It's a theft deterrent system, is what he
Yep.
what he calls it. So
Yep. Yeah, and it definitely is. And again, it's very reasonably priced. So if you are a Moparian on here, you need to hit up Destroyer 1320 and get you one of those. I think they're pretty inexpensive, especially compared to somebody getting your baby, your
yeah,
Hellcat, Challenger, Charger, Dodge trucks. I mean, I think they've got it for a little bit of everything. So
and I
that's
think I think I've got a code. Destroyer can correct me. I don't remember if it's. I think it's 815 LSX, which will get you a discount on the Destroyer website as well.
nice. Nice. Well, I haven't heard back from Jesse and them, but I'm going to go ahead and we'll talk about the circuit for a few minutes until maybe we can get an answer back from them. We can't spend 45 minutes waiting on them and then kick it back off. I'm too tired for that and too much to go tomorrow. Um, but tomorrow, or yeah, the circuit kicks off April 19th, April 18th, actually, at Mocan Dragway. We're doing a big pre-party. I've got all that set up. We're going to have a racer and participant, co-pilot or family or whatever, pre-party at a local restaurant there in Southwest Missouri. Yep, here Destroyer says use code 815 LSX for a discount. So it's pretty awesome, man. Thank you very much for everybody out there. I'll leave that up there for a few minutes while we're talking about the circuit. But this year's going to be nuts. We're going to have a crazy time. We've got 2 tracks set up, 3 days of racing. We're the first time we've done that in a long time, especially at this level. We're capping the entries at 150 cars. Last year we had it at 100 and then expanded to 125 and sold out immediately on the second round. So 125 or 150 cars is our number for this year. Just heard back from Jesse. He said he was going to call Heather and see if they can get on now. So yeah, so pumped. I see Speed Mini saying so pumped for running the circuit. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're doing a pre-party for the racer and co-pilot. Then we are doing Friday morning. We're going to do tech and stuff like that at Mocan. Obviously, this will be our 11th year to host an event at Mocan. Appreciate them for all the support they've given us in Joplin, Asbury, Missouri, actually. So we're going to race there probably 11 to 5-ish, something like that. And then we're going to hit Route 66. We're going to actually loop up like we did last year for the racers that are watching that participated last year. We're going to loop up and hit 400 into Kansas and drop down to Galena, which again is the inspiration for the Radiator Springs in the Cars movie. And there's a spot, we went to Cars on the route last year as our checkpoint, but there's actually a shop right down the street. And after the event last year, they sent me a message, said, "Hey, is there any way we can get up? Is there any way we can be on the route next year?" So one, I wanted to go back to Galena. I think that's a really cool city. So we'll loop around, hit Galena, and then we're going to take Route 66 from Galena all the way to Springfield, Missouri, which is by the signs in Springfield. And I got to find out some history here, but it says the birthplace of Route 66. So I know it starts in Chicago, but I don't know if maybe they started building in Springfield or what. But it's going to be kind of cool to follow that route, that direction, because last year we went 66 from Galena southwest into Oklahoma towards Tulsa and things like that. So it'll be kind of cool to go the other direction. So that'll mean we will have driven about 300 miles of Route 66 in that part of the country for the circuit drag and drive events. So I don't know what we're going to do for, there's not really anything planned currently for Friday night. So we'll probably grab some dinner somewhere. We'll have like, hey, we're all going to go here to eat if you want to. It won't be like the pre-party for Thursday night, but Bass Pro Shop is there. There's a lot of small motels that are in Springfield that follow Route 66. So my plan is to set up with one of them and get like a room rate and things like that. And then, maybe ease over. Bass Pro has a really cool aquarium. They have all the stuff in Bass Pro. And this is, the first Bass Pro that there ever was. So it's the biggest. It's just big facility. So tons of hours can be spent in that. I think when we went to the aquarium, we spent like 3.5 or 4 hours just walking around there. So everybody that wants to make one pass and be done, you could run over to there and you could make your pass at Mocan, drive the route, hit your checkpoints, and then pop into Bass Pro for a few hours and spend some time. And then everybody will catch up to you and eat some dinner and all that kind of stuff. And then Saturday, we're going to race at Ozark Raceway Park. And then we're throwing another racer party on Saturday night. Somewhere. I'm not releasing any of that stuff yet, but it's going to be a blast. Something competitive and something kind of fun. So anyways, I see Jesse is in the back here. So I appreciate him moving all of his time up because I was an hour off on my schedule. So let's bring him on now. Sir, how are you? Hey, again, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm good. I'm hoping Heather jumps on. I just texted her and said, hey, they have the times messed up. But if you can jump on now, jump on. But I didn't want to let it sit another week.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that too. What happened was we always run, 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's what I say all the time, right? And then when I'm doing the math, I was coming back from, we got about 45 minutes worth of coverage to talk about. And then you guys be on, that's 8:45. Well, you're 2 hours behind me at Central Time, which would be 5:45 your time, not 6:45 your time, like I said. So anyways, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that again. If you guys don't know who Jesse is, he is the owner of Redding Drag Strip and one of the guys behind Redwood Rally. So
there's been some changes on the Redding Drag Strip front. We won't get too deep into that, but there's been some changes there. Yeah, the Redwood Rally. Heather, she used to work for Redding Drag Strip as well, and then when she left, we kind of bounced some ideas around, and I wanted to do a drag and drive event for quite a while, and she's perfect. So I asked her, hey, can we help? Can we partner up? We use your marketing side and your tech savvy side of things, and we use my networking side of things, and let's put an event together.
That's awesome. Well, if you guys have been on the show before talking about this, when you guys first announced you came on to discuss it, and the consensus then was you attended a drag and drive event, a big one in Australia, and you're like, I got to do this thing. And then she's like a marketing genius. I don't know if everybody has seen all the coverage that you guys put out from the event. So it was just like you guys pairing up to do this event made so much sense.
Oh, it was perfect.
Yep. Yeah,
I see Nathan Clark just chimed in on the comments there. Nathan's from Australia, and he came and did drag challenge with us as well. So the Australian Street Machine drag challenge, that was awesome, and it had me hooked.
I bet that is for sure. Well, let's jump into some of this stuff because we know that there's a lot of questions that were out there. You guys being the first on the West Coast in a long time, man, that really got me and Eric excited about what the future can hold. And so I want to talk about some of the cars and tracks and routes and all that kind of stuff that you guys had at Redwood Rally. So again, this is the first year competing with it. You guys sold out in I want to say just a few hours, sold out 200 spots. It was awesome to see the support that you guys were getting from everybody. I think there were so many shares on y'all stuff that it really made me excited for what can come for the future for the West Coast,
Oh,
So
absolutely.
do you want to talk a little bit about maybe some memorable cars for you guys from your event?
Yeah. So what we actually did, we did 150 spots, and then we had 33 sponsor spots. So we had
That's
183
right.
total, and we sold that 150 out in less than 20 minutes. And we had a couple technical glitches with payment issues, but we got through that. It was actually kind of cool. I had to make about 160 phone calls to get all the payments sorted out. But I got to meet all of the racers months and months and months before the event, and
That's
they got
great.
to see, like, that's what I do. I want to make sure racers have a good time, and I want to fix issues, and we took care of all that really well. Some of the memorable cars, um, you know, being that it's the first real, like, large production drag and drive on the West Coast, there was people that didn't know what to expect, and we don't get the drag week style or some of the Rocky Mountain race week style fast street driven pro mod cars. So
Right.
there's a guy named Shane Probst had the quickest car of the event. He went between 452 and 475, I think, at all 4 tracks, all 5 days.
Wow.
67 Nova with a single turbo, I believe.
That's
Yeah,
a
I think it was
fast
single.
car.
No, twin turbo Nova. Drove on the street well. He didn't have any problems until the very last drive. The shortest drive we have was about 2.5 hours, and about 45 minutes into it, he started tearing up some push rods and some lifters and rocker arms, and
Nice.
fixed it all on the side of I-5.
Wow, that's cool, man. Yeah, you guys had some of the coolest routes too. We're going to talk about those in a minute. What are some of the other cars that were in your mix?
There was a group of guys from, oh man, put me on the spot. It was something like Rusty's Garage or Rusty's Rod Shop or something up from Southern Oregon, and they had 3 like turbocharged coupes and a pickup truck and some other stuff. So that was pretty cool to see some vehicles from the 20s and 30s out there on the road.
Yeah.
And one of those guys, Chris Ballard, ended up winning one of our categories. So those were pretty cool. One of our sponsors and a pit stop sponsor was Players Pizza out of Anderson, California, and Harvey there at Players Pizza. Uh-oh, did I lose you? Okay, there we go.
Was that one of the trucks you were talking about?
That is, yeah, I believe that's one of them from Southern Oregon there. And Harvey from Players Pizza has some 1930s pickup with a Cummins, or with a diesel in it. I'm not even sure if it's a Cummins, but that was pretty cool. We had a lot of cool cars. One guy rolled in pulling his pickup truck, pulling his race car on a trailer, with a trailer being pulled by the trailer. So he was pulling
Yeah.
doubles. And he had his Class A license. He was legal to pull doubles in California, and I didn't really care anyway. But it was cool to see the doubles roll in. Let's see. Yeah, you scrolling through there, right there. That Falcon was a real popular Falcon. That's like I said, you put me on the spot. He was one of our sponsors from up north. Matt Kunick is his name. That Falcon was pretty cool. And while he didn't compete real hard, it was just a fun car. And that guy loves doing burnouts.
Yes, that's what we like to hear. Hey, if you're not going to be really fast, you got to be really good at burnouts. And if you're going to be fast, you got to be really good at burnouts.
So that black coupe right there, kind of on the lower right, that's Chris Ballard, the coupe just next to that car. I'm not sure who that was. That might have been Donovan Linwood in that Mustang, but Chris Ballard right there, he won the American Graffiti Dual Power Adder class, I believe.
Nice.
And it was pretty fun watching that on the road with a trailer behind it, and they had 3 or 4 of them in a row. One thing that really impressed us and was awesome was we had this family, the Condos family, and their friends.
Dude, they had a bunch of cars.
They had a bunch of cars, and they all came all the way from Wyoming. So,
Wow.
there was a lot of people. Locals had plenty of faith in us, but then there was a lot of people that came from multi-states away, and the faith that they had in our event was really over the top. Dive Bombers Garage. Thanks, Phil. Dive Bombers. That's it.
That's cool.
I feel bad. They even sponsored us, and I'm actually on my way to the airport right now. I pulled into to park. I'm on my way to Steele, Alabama tonight. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, so some of these names and some of these cars. There's the Players Pizza truck right there, the diesel. Yeah, so that was a fun one. Players Pizza, their food is so good, and while people didn't necessarily have time to eat there during the pit stop, we had a big racer gathering on Monday night on registration day, and it was just over the top. They said this is like as busy as it gets, and we had, between racers and friends and family, we probably put 250 people through that restaurant that night, which was a blast.
That's cool. Hey, Eric, slow down just a little. Let's take a look at the trophies there, because this is one of the coolest trophies I think I've ever seen on any event. Yeah, can you zoom in there just a little bit? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah.
So Samoa Drag Strip in Eureka, California, that's the track that's right on the ocean. Samoa has a guy that does these trophies out of old growth redwood. He chainsaw cuts them, and they call it the Redwood Wally. And their Redwood Wally has a tire on it, just like an NHRA Wally. Well,
Wow.
we wanted something unique. We really thought about doing helmets at first, and then Bailey did the helmets at Sick Week. And I thought, you know what, we got to be more original than that. So I called Kathy at Samoa, and I said, look, I want to do this idea. I don't want to copy yours exactly. I don't want to take anything away from the Redwood Wally, because that's a very exclusive trophy they do every once or twice a year. And I said, but I'd like to do something with a redwood tree. Can I get your blessing? Like, I want your permission before I ask anybody. And she said, by all means, here's the guy that carves them. So we called him up a few months ahead of time, went through a couple of prototypes, and that's what we ended up with right there.
How cool, man. That's awesome. I see Heather is here in the backstage. So if she wants to give me a thumbs up and let us know she's ready, perfect. I'm going to bring her on too. And hi, welcome. And we're basically running through some photos here of, and asking Jesse what his memorable cars, memorable route stops, all that kind of stuff. So we'll ask the same thing to you.
Oh, ask the same thing to me. Memorable cars. I'm sure Jesse probably already said Don Stone, right?
Nope. I left that.
No?
I'm going to leave that one up to you.
Oh man. So Don Stone, you remember what year and model his car was, Jesse?
It's a first gen. It's a 63 Ford Nova.
Yeah. So we have our private racer group on Facebook, and this guy was like, a week before, his car's not ready, like the back half isn't done. He's asking about sheet metal work and how to do it. And everybody's like, what is this guy doing? There's no way he's making it. So he got his car running, and then something happened with his motorhome on the way up, and he actually couldn't get his motorhome fixed. So he parked it. Jesse helped him out. He parked it in Sac. He had to drive this car that he literally just got together from Sac to Reading. Jesse stayed late. I was already heading to the coast, but he got his 2 runs done in Reading. And when I saw him in Eureka, I mean, he was getting a round of applause from everybody, because we did not think he was going to make it. So definitely the most memorable. He did get his own special trophy
Nice.
just because his story was so amazing. And he finished the entire route. I think he had like a steering column issue, but it wasn't enough of an issue for him not to be able to race.
Wow.
Yeah. So Don Stone was perfectly.
That's his car right there. That's his car right there, I think. Right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his car.
Oh, yeah.
10 days before the event, it had no sheet metal in it, no wheel tubs, just frame rails. The rear end was barely finished, and he threw it together. When he broke down in Elk Grove, I called some racers that I know down that way. One of them said, well, one of them owns a trucking company. So he says, bring your motor home to my property. I'll have my mobile mechanic fix it while you're gone for the week. Yeah. And sure enough, that's what happened.
That's great. That is great. What a cool car too. I mean, I dig the gasser style on that. And
yes,
but you mentioned a class name a few minutes ago. Can you kind of run through, because we saw some like American Graffiti, and then I would see like American Graffiti Magnum. What's the difference meaning there?
So basically, tire size was
the difference. We decided American Graffiti, the movie and everything was based out of Modesto, Northern California. And I thought, oh, that'd be cool. We'll just come up with the names like that. We'll be a little bit different and keep it Northern California themed. And then I knew I wanted to do a maximum tire size of the 275 or 28-10-5.
Yep.
And I thought, well, what do you do when you need something bigger? What do you call it when it's bigger? And you should have seen the actual graphic I sent to Heather. When I came up with the idea, well, bigger means Magnum, so let's go that route. And
Nice.
You
I said it-
you should have saw the website before it was actually published. I had to do a
That's
lot
right.
of changes thanks to Jesse.
Yep. Car guys are like a bunch of 15-year-old boys.
oh yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we do know this year we had a bunch of people asking us to do a gasser specific category. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if we'll get enough of them. It's kind of a pretty small group of guys. I think we had at least 8 straight axle gasser style cars this year.
And with such a limited car count, it was hard. Like we can't
Right.
have 20 classes, we have to narrow it down somehow. So with just not knowing how popular that was going to be, we couldn't add a gasser class in, but I think Jesse and I talked about it, and we're going to add that in for next year.
Well, those guys have
That's
come
awesome.
through. I know one of the groups is building 2 more cars.
Wow.
One of the guys that happened to be with one of those 57 Chevy straight axle gasser happened to be in North Carolina last weekend when I was there. I got him into the races, and he said that their group is building 2 more gassers, and most of the groups that have them are building another one. So I won't surprise me if we don't have 14, 15 gassers in a gasser only category next year.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Well, let's talk about, because I'm working through some of the data now to figure out, like, because some of your classes ran 1/8 mile across the week, and then some of them had like a mix of 1/8 and 1/4 mile. So I'm working through some of that, and that's okay. That's the way it works in drag racing nowadays, because we're track counts and things like that, and we're actually doing that at our circuit event because one of the tracks has a shorter shutdown, so we're nervous to turn like 850 cars loose on a track that's probably a little too short to do that with. So, what classes were only 1/8 mile, and I'll make those notes, and then what classes would be 1/4 mile and others?
The simplest way is this 2 stick shift categories and the mind over matter index class. Those ones were 1/4 mile.
Cool.
Everything else was 1/8. Now,
Yeah. Tuesday
when
was
we
on
got-
an 8 mile track, and then
Yeah.
also we had to make a last minute decision at Samoa because it was raining that morning when we got there. And just for our time constraints, and then also, just some safety stuff and track prep and whatnot, we made that 8th mile for everybody that day as well.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. Thank you for explaining that. I was trying to do the math, and I was like, I'm just going to ask them when they're on.
Well, it's kind of one of the reasons it didn't play into it hugely, but like the stick shift class would have looked a little bit goofy if we would have done the results based on an average. Like it's pretty easy on all of the 1/8 mile heads up classes. You take the number you see in the results and divide it by 8, because we had 8 time slips throughout the week. Originally it was designed for 10, but weather and time constraints, we dodged rain like you wouldn't believe. It was so perfect. We just had to cut one of the tracks down to 1 run in a day instead of 2. And it just, you have to adapt and overcome what's thrown at you by Mother Nature. So on all those heads up
welcome
classes,
to Drag and Drive.
Yeah.
Like,
so on all those heads up classes, you just divide it by 8 and you'll see what that racer's average was. But everybody does the average. I thought it'd be cool to do an overall. In hindsight, I realized it was slightly confusing because people know what they're used to looking for.
Well,
but it didn't change anything as far as results go.
Yep. And so Drag Challenge does this, that, and Street Week Sweden do it all the same way. So like they're, because it's much easier if you're going to throw in an 1/8 mile day, or like you guys had, you'd planned for 10 passes, you end up with 8 or 9. It just makes sense to do the average, because then you're not having to figure out some kind of manipulation to get from 1/8 to 1/4 mile, because there's a 1/8 mile day in there and all that. So, I mean, it makes complete sense on, like, from a promoter standpoint. From my side, it makes just a little bit more work, but it'll be easy enough to figure out from there, especially with how you guys explained it there. So,
well, and nothing against the way Scott Taylor does it in Australia. However, when I was there, I'm a bracket racer at heart. So when I saw the way they did their dial your own class in Australia, they used a 1.53 factor or whatever it is for the 8th mile. And the factor was off. It wasn't a good factor. So it made it really hard on guys. They ran whatever they ran on day one, and then they had to hit with the factor. They were like 2.5 tenths off, and people were just in left field, out of left field. So when I set it up this way for Redding, we actually made Redding's 8th mile ET be the 8th mile ET, the 8th mile index when they got to Coos Bay, and then we ended up using it in Samoa as well. So the way our results worked out on the result sheet for the Mind Over Matter class, it was really, to me, it was really cool. You saw first place was the racer with the least amount of overall time over their indexes for the week, and it really worked out well. A lot of the guys, it's not that they didn't understand it, they just weren't ready for the difference of weather and altitude and ET changes from track to track. And I tried telling everybody during registration and check-in and tech day, make sure you sandbag day one. Don't go as fast as you can, and then you can't catch up to yourself later. And some of them got it and some of them didn't. And I was real happy to see the 2 junior street kids that also, their times also competed in Mind Over Matter. I was really happy to see them up towards the top of the field.
Sean Alsop, I think, is the son, or Austin is the
Austin.
son.
Austin's the son.
Man. That kid is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah.
And then Dylan Ellsworth. Those are they're all Dylan's a very good bracket racer in junior dragsters, and to see they knew what they were dealing with when it came to sandbagging a little bit on day one, and they played right into their hand.
That's so cool. Well, guys, let's talk about, none of the racers that are probably watching this right now have ever been to the West Coast to drive on a drag and drive event. So what was your favorite route stop of the week, and then what was your favorite drive of the event?
We'll agree on this, so Heather can just blurt it out.
Everyone's favorite drive was definitely Samoa to Coos Bay. I mean, that was all coastal, all coastline, gorgeous views. The way that we kind of planned for drive times, it was right at sunset, so everybody got to see sunset, like on the beach. And as far as pit stops, we did pit stops a little bit differently. So we had our focus was really celebrating the smaller communities. All these tracks are in like little small towns, and so we had local businesses be the pit stops. And I think everybody can agree that probably Players Pizza was a huge hit. We had people going there multiple nights when they were in Reading, getting pizza, beer, and they just supported us so much. But all the drives were gorgeous. I don't know if you've seen much of the footage we've had. We've had some really great videos come out showing just how beautiful this drive is.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've definitely am putting this on the schedule for 2024 because if you guys are going to have one, we haven't even had it. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about like roadside repairs. Was there anybody that tore stuff up on the side of the road that you got some fun stories for that?
Oh yeah. You want to talk about Max Nichols and his what's he called? The Dragnum?
The Dragnum. So Max
my gosh.
An alternator problem and a transmission problem, and he limped it over to Players Pizza, and
our portable car hoist guy was there.
Portable car hoist was there. Yep. And so in the Players Pizza parking lot, there's also an AutoZone there. They jacked it up in the air and changed transmission in the parking lot. And then he looked everywhere for an alternator. I made calls to Summit. I made calls to LKQ and some other people. Nobody had the aftermarket alternator that he had. So he called a guy in southern Utah, and he had one in his shop and had that guy drive nonstop overnight from southern Utah to Reading.
11 hours they drove to deliver this alternator, and still made it. So he didn't leave till the following morning. All of us were already on the coast. Everyone's like, oh, where's Max? Where's Max? He made it to Samoa and ended up getting his passes in.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. But he actually didn't finish the event, though. What happened towards the end of the event, Jesse?
So he was pulling, he got his runs in Medford on the second to last day, and pulling out of the track, it broke the rear end.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So he either limped it back into the track property or he took it to the track operator's shop. I don't know exactly where it went, but he dropped it off somewhere in Medford, hitched a ride. Oh, no. Ubered from Medford to Reading. That's a 2.5 hour drive. I said,
Oh,
I don't even want to know what that Uber bill was. And he said, I don't even want to tell you what it was.
Yeah.
He came to Reading, hung out for the last day of the event, ended up at the hotel that night as well. And the next morning, he had somebody taking him up with a trailer to pick his car up so he can get it back to Utah. He said next year it'll have a 9-inch in it and it'll be ready. So yeah, that's probably the wildest roadside repairs. Shane, like I said, started having some valve train issues on the very final drive. He got all those fixed. What else did we see? We saw at one of the traffic stops, there's a lot of road construction on one of our drives. And I saw the 57 Chevy Gasser. I drove by and honked the horn at them, and they gave me thumbs up as they're banging on something underneath it with a hammer. And
Nice.
we had a couple of them. We lost a couple cars. Olivia and Drew Wallace, they lost
They literally found the sketchiest turnout on the entire route for this to happen.
He messaged me and told me where he was, and I happened to be 18 minutes away with the support trailer, with my fuel and our Starlink and our tables and chairs and everything in it. So I pull in there and park, and Drew's like, hey, go lock your trailer because this place is bad. And sure enough, I don't even want to say where it was. It's not fair to the community, but there was tweakers and crackheads running around. And this is a little tiny podunk town in the mountains. You would not. And so we ended up having another guy that dropped out with an empty trailer. I knew his trailer was empty. I called him. He was 30 minutes away. He came back, picked up their car, got them to Reading. Like, there wasn't a single person that if they had a problem, all they had to do was raise their hand and somebody jumped in to help.
That's great. That is so great.
That's
And that's
awesome.
what's so awesome about the drag and drive community too. Like that happens at all of them. But like for, a lot of that stuff, there's been multiple of those events through a certain area. But like for you guys so like I can only imagine what it's like to see 30 hot rods pull into a gas station and just take it over. I bet you changed people's lives out there.
So in the town of Brookings, Oregon, that's where Nexus Diesel, Tony from Nexus Diesel, one of our pit stops, in a pit stop sponsor, there was people in his town who found out what all these hot rods were doing, cruising by. They found our name. They sent us private messages and posts on the Redwood Rally page saying, this was so cool. You brought the car show to me. Two guys said they sat on the front yard with a 6-pack and just watched cars all day. And then an older
actually
lady,
the one at the shop though, I thought this is one of Tony's employees. He's got literally right in front of the shop doors. He's got his lawn chair out. He's got his little cooler of beers. Everyone was like, oh, cool. He's just watching the shop for Tony. I guess Tony pulls up and is like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just watching cars. Tony had no idea who this guy was. He just set up shop.
We had a 60, like a woman in probably her early 60s say, I saw these hot rods. I asked around on what it was. I sat on my porch and watched a car show drive by me all day. Well, your guys' event is so cool. And for random people to say that was awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty to go through the work to find out what's going on, either ask people or just jump on Facebook and try and figure out what all is happening is pretty neat. Well, let's talk about like from the promoter side. What are a couple things that you guys learned?
What did we learn?
So okay, the biggest thing is, and I'm wide open with everybody. So you have a problem, don't go talk about it in your little circle, in your little clique. If you have an issue or you want to suggest something, come straight to me and do it. I've dealt with bracket racers for years, and they'll talk about everything they dislike amongst themselves. And the next thing you know, you're getting shit on, and you didn't even know that there was a problem to fix. So I stayed very open with everybody, and I asked them all to, hey, if you have a suggestion, bring it to me. So the first thing that I know we messed up on was on check-in day, when guys came in with camp trailers, whether they were vagabonds and they rolled with everybody, or they came with their race trailers and they unloaded their cars, they were pitting by their trailer on day one. And I think most people were not going in and getting tools and stuff out of their trailer, but it was very hard to police on our end. So day two, we go to Samoa, and there was a lot of people that brought enclosed trailers in case their car broke down. And they were vagabonds, and they were all legit as far as who was there and who was with their group. but they parked them in the area with all the cars. So you started
Okay.
looking across the parking lot, and it felt like you were not at a drag and drive, but at a standard race.
Yeah.
And somebody brought it to my attention, and I went and talked to people, and we didn't push it to police it extremely hard this year,
Yep.
but it's on our radar. Next time,
Yeah.
the check-in trailer parking area will be here, and race cars will be
Right.
here,
Yeah.
and vagabonds the same way. So that's like
Yep.
the number one thing that we really learned there.
And kind of going back to what Jesse said about encouraging people to come straight to us, you know, we waited a few days, but the week after the event, we did a Facebook Live, or we did a live in our racer group. And we literally asked them, like, hey, what worked and what didn't work? Like, we
That's a
need
great idea.
constructive criticism because we want to get better. And it's ultimately, this is for you guys. So how can we make this a better experience?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if all the drag and drives typically have host hotels in each city, but we had host hotels at each city, and we booked out like 85 rooms at every one of those hotels. So the majority of our racers were at those hotels or at the track. Well, Heather and I, every night, we'd get to the host hotel where we were staying as well. And yeah, we were beat and we were tired, but we still went to the bar and went to the restaurant and sat and talked to racers for hours. And that's where we really said, tell us what you think. What should we do here? What should we do there? The number two thing that we picked up on, and by day 3, we fixed it, was I thought it was a better idea to run cars down the track with mind over matter, because you're getting a bunch of cars down the track and getting heat in the track and getting the prep kind of tuned up for the day. Well, it was brought to my attention, and guys were totally right. You got guys that take 2-3 hours to switch their cars over from street driving to race mode.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't run until later in the day. So they did their changeover in the morning. Then they sat around and waited for the mind over matter class to be done. Then we got through 2 rotations of cars. It was later in the day before they could do their changeover back to street mode. So
And
guys
the
were saying,
mind over matter cars were already on the road because
and those, a lot of those guys,
they just got to pack up and go.
Yeah, so the drive-in street cars, all they had to do was pack their chairs and maybe swap tires and go. So once we got that, and we understood where we kind of missed the bar on that one, by day 4, we ran the heads-up categories first. And by running the heads-up categories first, those guys got to be changed over in the morning, get their runs in, change over while everybody finished up, and get on the road sooner. And it was much smoother. And like you say, it's what we learned.
Yeah. Well, one thing too that reminds me, did you allow street like hard tire stuff in there, or was it like all radials and slicks?
No, we had street tires. Obviously, it depended on what class you were in, but yeah, mind over matter, they could all have street tires.
Yeah.
And that's as long as your prep guys like Cole and Redding, he's real good at, as soon as the track starts seeing some issues, he'll scrape and spray and drag and reprep in 8 minutes. That works well. Now, what threw me a huge curveball, I just didn't know. Heather and I went to Coos Bay. We went to all the tracks. We drove the route prior, months prior to the event. I didn't even know Coos Bay doesn't have a track drag. They don't have a drag tractor whatsoever. Yeah. So they go out there and they scrape once every couple months, and then they spray glue in the morning and they race through the day. And their burnout box is in a weird location that's like 150 feet past the stage beams. And once we got started that day, it was raining. There was mud everywhere, and it just wasn't. They didn't have a broom. And like I asked Drake, I said, "How do you do this without the equipment?" And he says, "I'm just a little small time track." And I said, "Well, everybody's in the same boat. Every racer there was dealing with the exact same thing." So I kind of had to take charge a little bit. I moved the burnout box to like 15 feet behind the starting line. Had to be careful because guys that weren't paying attention would just back right through the water again and have to do a second burnout. They all got with the program, but and the track came around because once guys could do burnouts past, over the starting line where the glue actually is, Coos Bay got pretty darn fast. I mean, Shane went 472 or something, and it's a short shutdown that goes straight uphill.
Coos Bay had to be probably the most interesting track on the route, and it was potentially the most chaotic as well because we had the weather, we had the lack of track equipment. lack of asphalt. So you have these, you know, high dollar cars. I mean, we tried getting them to switch over in the lanes, but they're pitted in this gravel and dirt and mud. Like it had
Yeah.
rained hard, like 3 days all before that. So,
Nice.
and then we had no idea that we had to deal with the tide. So there's like some water pond situation going on. And I guess when the tide comes in, like that fills up. And so their announcer's like, hey, if you're X, Y, and Z car, like the tide's coming in. And we're like, we had no idea that we would have to deal with that because it's a little more inland, you know, it's not right on the beach, but
wow,
it's right near the bay, but the tide plays into it. And a lot of that dust and mud that we were talking about was white. Well, it's salty. That tide is brackish water. And it honestly, like, as much as it felt like an uphill battle at Coos Bay, it was a blast. And I think people actually,
so many people love that track.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say is, like, you know, everybody that day may have been like grumpy, let's say, but then 2 days later, they're like, man, that was actually pretty enjoyable. It was kind of fun to go through a whole nother list of stuff you've never encountered before.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, if you go to nothing but pristine tracks to do a drag and drive, you can look at each category and pick out of 3 cars. You can pick who's probably the favorite to win. Yeah. All you have to do is that car that you pick as a favorite to win has to make the entire trip.
Yeah.
But with Samoa being cold and wet in the morning and overcoming the weather, and then Coos Bay being the way it was, and then we go to Medford, we fought the weather. We were 10 to 15 minutes away from saying, sorry guys, we can't race today.
Wow.
And Justin said, you know, I'm going to try a little bit more. And he put another 15 minutes effort into it. And then the sun came out and it got good and it was fast. There were some PBs set at Medford.
That's
so
awesome.
it was great. But Coos Bay, Samoa, huge equalizers of the field.
Yeah.
It became a tuner game, not just a horsepower game.
Well, and again, that's what I enjoy the most about Drag and Drive, is because, like, everybody is still on the same page. Everybody has to race those same tracks all week, you know. So
yeah,
we talk a lot about who's fastest, who got the most points, who did this, who won the classes, things like that. But really, when we started gathering all of these events and making them all kind of 1 point series or one conversation, you know, it really comes down to still those racers still have completely different experiences across the country in these classes and events. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I guess, you know, the main question you probably already answered, but will there be a Redwood Rally 2024?
There will be a Redwood Rally 2024 for sure. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
We are fully committed to going to PRI this year. Yes. Obviously we don't have products to sell. Our idea for PRI is notoriety and trying to sign sponsors. Trying to kind of ride the wave of popularity and notoriety we have right now and sign sponsors for next year, because almost all of our sponsors this year were competitors and local companies that were really trying to pitch in. We don't want to make the event a corporate style event, but we would like some corporate sponsorship to help just kind of increase some things that we want to do nicer.
Yeah.
Well, and at the same time, like, the reach you guys have gathered and garnered from that event can help a national level sponsor as well. You know, not necessarily like it's got to be some corporate, you know, no name company that's writing a big check. It's like, you know, it's the same thing with us with Summit. They're a huge worldwide brand, but us talking about them and them being a part of our stuff helps them as well. So that's always a plus. Well, let's maybe wrap up with what are some tips you guys can give promoters that are wanting to maybe host an event in 2024?
Well, if you're a promoter and you know racing inside and out, and it's something that you feel like you do the best, find a partner that is good at the back side of things, because that's what I did. Heather is so good on the back end, and I know I can make the race work at the racetrack. You just have to make sure that partnership, if you're gonna, I don't think people can go at it alone. You just have to make sure that the partnership meshes really well.
It's more work than I think we necessarily thought in the beginning. And it's not, I'm not saying that as like a bad thing. There's so many little pieces that go into it. It's very easy to say, oh yeah, we're gonna talk to these tracks, we're gonna do track rentals, and we're putting on this event. Well, no, you have to have software, you have to be organized, you have to market it. You know, there's so much that goes into it, and you have to stay on top of all of it. So for one person to do it, there's just no way. So yeah, like Jesse said, make sure you have a good team, whether it's just you and another person, or you're the owner and you have like 3 or 4 core employees. There's just a lot to be done, and make sure that you can, you know, divvy up some of the work and make sure it all actually gets done.
I think one of the biggest compliments that we got from everybody collectively was we answer phone calls, texts, and messages. There is hardly ever a message that slips by us. We talk to everybody, and that's important, because a lot of them, there's guys, we had a handful of guys that have done multiple drag and drives across the country, and I haven't done them, so I don't know how the communication is, but some of them are basically saying, well, once I paid my money, then I couldn't get any questions answered, and there wasn't a whole lot of there's this word I'm looking for here. Oh, I can't think of the word, but we're just open. We answer everybody's message. I answer everybody's calls, texts, and that was huge. Like, I noticed right away, people really, really appreciated that.
Well, and we would also kind of keep track, like if we got the same question a couple of times and it's like, okay, we need to address this in our racer group, just to make sure there, you know, there's probably other people thinking the same thing and that just haven't come forward yet. So we probably didn't do as many lives as we were hoping. But we'll definitely get on a better schedule of doing them next year. But yeah, we would literally write it down. We had a list. We'd go live, we'd explain it, and then, you know, we'd open it up for even more questions. So communication, keeping the racers involved throughout the entire process. Like, we were very open about what was going on, where we were at, things that we were thinking about implementing, and everybody giving us feedback. It was an awesome experience.
Those repetitive questions, we even had copy and paste answers, so where our answers were always the same. Consistency matters when you answer questions.
Well, and one thing, like for promoters on that side, is you've almost got, like, you look at this like there's 5 events in a 5-day drag and drive. It's not 1 week-long event. It's like, we're going to race here for 1 day, and then we're putting on a whole other race over here at a completely different track that we may have never met those people in person.
So and then you have to like tear down everything, reset back up. So we had some basically traveling employees, if you will, a couple really good friends, and we knew we could rely on them. We knew we could just be like, okay, hey, we're getting to the track at this time. They knew what to do. My best friend Leah, she was kind of helping me at registration in the morning, so she knew all the totes. She was setting them all out, and I was answering questions. Awesome. Jesse was getting the track ready. Like, you just really need that core support.
And once we got through the first day, like, the flow was good. So Leah and Heather did some data entry, and then once Jessica, she's a junior dragster mom out here from by me. She did the work. She worked the front gate, and once it got time for Heather and Leah to get on the road so they could get ahead of racers and get rolling pictures and get pit stop photos.
Try real hard to get some media in between all of this.
So then Jessica stepped into the data entry side of things. And then when the racing wound down and the racing finished, then I went over and helped Jessica with that. And it just worked like boom, 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 boom every day. And then I was the last one out of there every day. And it went smooth. It went really well. That's cool. You know, if you're going to try to do one of these, build a really solid team. I think my biggest fear of it is, I know that Heather and I put our all into it. I've already heard a couple rumors that there's some other people that think, well, that one went so easy, we can do one too. I don't want the market flooded. I don't want to try to have a monopoly either. But I know our event was good. Like, I'm confident that our event was really good. I just hope we don't get a couple copycats that kind of try to flood the market or do something like that. And then don't put on as good of an experience for the racers. Because my biggest concern is making sure the racers get what they want out of it.
Well, and Eric and I have had that conversation many times on this show about that, you know, about what we're seeing across the world now. You know, now we're up to 33 drag and drive events across the country or across the world, considering in 2019 there were 4. It's pretty wild to think that, we're 8 times as many events now, and we're going to have that, and I think that's where, like, you guys have done an amazing job with social media stuff. That side of stuff has been great. And then everybody that we've talked to, David Sidden was down there at your, him and I are friendly on Facebook, and he said he had a great time, so like just seeing people that are just regular racers that are out there that are having a good time. Well, guys, we're going to try and get out of here in the next about 11 minutes. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for putting up with me last week and again this week for messing up my time stuff. I can't believe I did that 2 times in a row. That typically never happens. So I'm excited to see what Redwood Rally 2024 brings. But why don't you tell everybody where they can follow along and see all that stuff?
So we've taken a little bit of a break. We need to take a few days off, but we will get back to posting on all social media platforms. And I'm actually going to be updating the website either end of this week, or I guess we kind of are into this week, probably beginning of next week. And just as we get more information about next year, we will make sure that it is on all of the platforms that we have.
Cool. I've got 2 more weeks of NPK, and then I've got 2.5 weeks off. So when Texas is over, then I will kind of step in and help Heather out a little bit more. I've been on the road every week since the Redwood Rally. So nice. Once that's over with, I'll step in and help her out some more. Are you going to PRI? Both of you guys going to be at PRI?
Yep.
Yeah, we have a booth this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have a booth and a Drag and Drive Awards on Thursday, so you guys will have to come to that.
Yeah, that'd be so great to meet you guys in person.
I'm ready.
We'll have my buddy Luke Kessel from Australia. His car is on the water right now. His new Toronto will be in our booth.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
How cool.
And it'll be in the Redwood Rally, hopefully next year.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We're gonna put you guys backstage. You're more than welcome to hang out if you want to back there and watch the rest of the show. But I know you guys are busy. He's probably headed to the airport now.
I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back on the road, head to the airport. Thank you for having us on. Anytime you want to have us on, just give us a heads up, and if we get the time right, we'll be on right on time.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Thank you, guys.
Safe travels. See ya.
All right, thanks, bye. What a fun group of folks there. I mean, that's really like
they got it figured out for their first event.
Yeah, I mean, like, and he's done them. He said he attended drag challenge in Australia before, but like he had not raced in one. But at the same time, he has a lot of race experience. I think that equals a lot of ability for these type things. And for promoters, when I started, dude, I didn't know anything about this stuff at all.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about any of the ability to host this stuff. And like the first year I did it, I didn't even go to, I don't even think I drove the day during the wrap. So, I mean, like it's things like that. And, obviously once I did it, it was way different than here. So
yeah, they had some great advice too.
Yeah.
Building a good team, communication, those are all great things that every promoter.
Speaking of that, building a good team, I've got this thing kind of put together. I need to send you about maybe you handling all the social media during the circuit, so I can pull back from some of that as well. I usually be in charge of that, so we'll talk about that later. The folks on here don't need to worry about it. Guys, I want to say thank you for everybody that has watched tonight. We've had a huge show tonight. It's been awesome just to hang out with Jesse and Heather. I really appreciate them again changing up their entire timetable to fit what I screwed up again for 2 weeks in a row, which is abnormal for me. So I appreciate them coming on and giving us a little bit kind of behind the scenes stuff, talking about what they did right and what they did wrong. That's always a good learning experience, because I'm telling you, we're going to see more events in 2024. There's going to be more that are out there. Everybody, has kind of the same feeling. They don't want events to cross over each other, but at the same time, we'll have 4 drag and drive events in the Southeast, just in North Carolina and South Carolina, and a lot of those hitting the same tracks, and those events are still doing well. So if you are a good promoter and you can put on stuff, it's going to happen. Tracks are going to be doubled up and things like that. But at the same time, like, we're going to end up with, I don't know. I mean, if we have 40 events next year across the world, that's going to be pretty wild. Looking now, I think 40 may be a low number,
Yeah, I mean,
So,
the good promoters are going to keep going, and
yeah,
the unsuccessful ones, they'll drop off. But
yep,
um,
yep,
it'll be interesting to see. I I thought 33 was going to be hard to top, so we'll
yeah.
be looking to see what next year looks like.
Yep. One thing I want to do is I'm going to start kind of seeing if I can find a maybe someone that can build a system that will, because when you look at the map of how many events are in just in the U.S., that's typically what we cover the U.S. Um, they look jumbled up, but really when you think about it, if you have an event in Florida in February, but then you have 8 months later, you have Hot Rod Drag Week in North and South Carolina, you're you're a pretty good ways away from there, but on the map it doesn't look that far.
Yeah,
So at the same time, you kind of need, people need to understand these happen like this all across the country. They're up north, south, west. So there's still a lot of room for growth within the community. I would like to see more regional events and more attendance at regional events. I think that is our gateway drug to bring in a lot more people into the drag and drive community. I think these weekend events are the key. I've said that all year, and then we've
yeah.
had less than stellar turnout for the regional events, and the week long stuff still keeps cranking and selling out. So
Well, and just like they said, when 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 you're going to put on an event, you have to promote it. You have to be
yeah,
talking about it all the time,
yeah,
posting about it. That's the only way that people are going to find out about it.
yeah. Well, and you know how it goes, man. You and I live this social media life. It's funny to look at the almost 90,000 followers we have and see the percentage of our followers that actually see our posts on a consistent basis. We have several posts with more than 250, 300,000 views on it or whatever. And you can look at that and it'll be 8% of
90. Yeah.
your followers actually saw it compared to 90% new people that
Hmm.
had never seen your stuff before are looking at it. So it's pretty cool, or followers or non-followers or whatever. So it's pretty interesting to see how that all breaks down. Well, guys, again, I am headed to Ferris, Texas for the finals of the Summit Racing Midwest Drag Race Series for pro mods and real drag race cars. Cars that are dedicated to drag racing, I guess. And Eric, what do you got going on this weekend, dude? We didn't talk about any of that.
I've been so busy the last week that I am looking forward to having a relaxing weekend. So,
Nice.
we talked before the show. I had to put in a water heater on Monday. I had an all-day event today with one of our public schools and kind of giving information to freshmen to kind of help their decision on their career path. So that took a lot out of me today. I've got stuff going on tomorrow. So, if I don't have anything to do this weekend, I got stuff floating around in here. If I don't have anything to do this weekend, I will be just fine. But um,
Nice.
I am going to ask if you're going to take photos because I would
Well, yeah,
love to edit some more photos. And I
yeah,
think those are doing great on Facebook. So I hope
yeah,
everybody is enjoying the albums we're putting out. I know this isn't going to be a drag and drive, but if
yeah.
you take pictures, I'll definitely edit those up and post those this weekend.
Well, I appreciate that a bunch for sure. We'll definitely do that, and anytime we can help spread the word of other drag racing, we're gonna do that as well. It's not what we're built on, but there's a lot of folks in here that have two or three cars at home that have big boy race cars that'll be down there this weekend, and so we know how that works. Those guys want to almost take like a car guy vacation. They can end up at a drag and drive event. So cool. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you. We're gonna do the news on Saturday.
It depends on if you're at a spot where we can do it.
Yeah, let me get down there tomorrow night and see what kind of the schedule is for the weekend. I know what the public schedule is. It starts at 10, but I don't know if that means like we need to be there at 8. If we are at 8, guys, we'll probably skip the news again this week and be back to it after that.
Yep.
Or we'll have a real short show, maybe a little earlier in the day. So, all right, guys, thank you so much again. We appreciate it. And if you haven't done it yet, why are you not following us? Like we post all the time everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I'm sure there's some other Eric posts on LinkedIn all the time too. So,
I
all right,
do.
guys, we'll see you.
See you guys.